After Agent 6 had dealt with all the stone creatures, Heine and Gadalkand, along with a group of elite subordinates, came looking for him. Agent 6, disregarding any sense of fair play, took a shot at Gadalkand straight away, but unfortunately, Gadalkand dodged it. Gadalkand also realized that the weapon could not attack continuously, so he commanded his troops to close in on Agent 6. At this point, Snow stepped forward, telling Agent 6 to focus on the lieutenants while she handled the lesser soldiers. Seeing the situation, Agent 6 asked Alice to quickly get him a melee weapon. However, Agent 6's evil points were already insufficient, and he had to apply for it on credit. Meanwhile, Gadalkand led a group of his minions to encircle Agent 6. Just as Agent 6 was struggling in the fight, Snow intervened. Clearly, she was still angry about Agent 6's previous actions. At that moment, Agent 6's weapon was transported to him. It was a laser chainsaw, which he was extremely proficient with. With a casual swing, he bisected one of the minions. Subsequently, Agent 6 again removed the restrictions on his combat suit. Although the enhancement only lasted for a minute, paired with the chainsaw, a minute was enough to deal with them. Agent 6 had used this tactic to defeat countless heroes before. With a wicked smile, Agent 6's move was followed by Gadalkand's agonizing screams. Like a whirlwind, Agent 6 conducted a one-sided massacre. In the end, only Heine was left standing, and even her own teammates were nearly killed by Agent 6. Afterward, Agent 6 proposed a 1-month truce to Heine, who had no choice but to agree, and ordered a temporary retreat. However, Snow was worried. Agent 6 reassured her that as long as they could hold out for a month, once the teleportation device stabilized, their organization could easily crush the Demon Lord's army. But what Agent 6 was more concerned about was the condition Snow had promised him. She had said she would do anything afterward. Seeing the situation, Tillis and Alice quickly excused themselves. Snow was in turmoil, so she brought Gadalkand's severed head, hoping Agent 6 would spare her from sharing a bed with him. Agent 6, forced to comply, complained that Snow and his boss were similar in that they both used people when it was to their advantage. As compensation, Snow kissed him, thinking that Agent 6 liked her, but he tactlessly stated that he had never said such a thing, leaving Snow extremely embarrassed. She was so mortified she wanted to kill Agent 6 on the spot. Fortunately, at that moment, the cooldown for Agent 6's suit's side effects completed, and he desperately fled. After this battle, Agent 6 became a hero in that country. Tillis and Snow no longer regarded Agent 6 as a spy. Finally, after much persuasion, Agent 6 rejoined the team. Agent 6 then took revenge on the military advisor who had been framing him by taping off the advisor's sparse hair. Then, Alice informed Agent 6 that he needed to work harder at accumulating evil points because the chainsaw he had just requested had left his evil points in the negative. If he returned to Earth with a negative balance, he would be immediately subjected to severe punishment by the enforcement squad. Now, he could only wait for his points to turn positive before he could return. Agent 6 was incredibly outrageous, even managing to make his female boss cry through the screen. But Agent 6 had his reasons for acting this way. His boss had sent him alone to conquer this planet, which was ridiculous. How could one person achieve that? Thus, Agent 6 requested reinforcements, but his boss refused, citing a lack of combat power on Earth as the reason. Agent 6 certainly wouldn't agree with that, so he came up with a nasty tactic. In the end, his boss tearfully sent him reinforcements. That was Tora Otoko. Tora Otoko and Agent 6 were old acquaintances, and they always sparred in swordplay upon meeting. Agent 6 sneakily borrowed Snow's beloved sword. Upon clashing, Snow's beloved sword was immediately broken. Agent 6 was shocked and hurriedly asked Alice for a solution. Alice, having no other options, suggested using rice to glue it back together and then pretend nothing happened. Just then, Snow appeared, exactly when Agent 6 was trying to stay calm. She had come to retrieve her sword. Left with no choice, Agent 6 made up a story, claiming that the sword had awakened its true consciousness to find its real master, and it came back in its current state. Snow was shocked, and she held her broken sword, grieving, actually believing such a ridiculous story. Tora Otoko couldn't stand it anymore and pulled out a brand new katana to give to Snow. Snow's demeanor instantly changed, and she began flattering Tora Otoko. Agent 6 was completely speechless at her behavior. Suddenly, the alarm for an enemy attack rang. Snow, excited, picked up the new sword and rushed to the battlefield. Under Agent 6's command, they achieved another great victory. At the victory banquet, Agent 6 even gained 2 little admirers, making building a harem not just a dream. Then, Alice advised Agent 6 to eat less of this planet's food, as it might be poisonous to Earthlings, like the meat in front of Agent 6, which was made by orcs. Agent 6 felt nauseated instantly. Meanwhile, Alice became interested in the planet's creatures and hired Snow at a high salary to guide them into the forest. Unexpectedly, the forest was full of alien species. While Snow praised them as delicious, Agent 6 was incredulous, but Alice was full of interest. During their tour, they saw a giant snake hung up. Snow explained that this was done by the Skullcrusher tribe, who have a strong territorial sense. If someone invades their territory, they use blunt instruments to crush the invader's skull. Agent 6 panicked immediately, because he had felt watched since they entered the forest. At that moment, Alice noticed strange sounds, realizing these were signals to their companions. A terrified Agent 6 immediately fled. However, Agent 6 realized soon after that the others had not followed him, and he began to panic even more. When he turned back, he accidentally encountered a monster. After a moment of fear, he realized the creature did not attack him. Recalling that he knew very little about this planet, he thought the creature might actually be gentle. Just as he was about to shake hands with it, Snow killed it. Afterward, Snow and Grim enjoyed it at the dining table. Agent 6 was devastated. He had just made a friend on this planet, and now it was being eaten right in front of him with soy sauce. At the dinner table, Rose was troubled because Grim had been frequently summoning undead and demonic spirits to scare her. Alice, not believing in these supernatural theories, wanted to use the power of science to debunk Grim's so-called summoning techniques. Naturally, Grim disagreed. So, that night, the two went into the wilderness to settle their differences, with Agent 6 dragged along as a witness. Moreover, Grim had prepared a powerful offering, intending to summon a formidable demon to thoroughly embarrass Alice. But when she saw how cute the rabbit was, Grim couldn't bear to harm it, so she tried to have Agent 6 do it. However, Agent 6 also didn't want to kill such a cute bunny. Alice, being a robot, lacked their sentimentality and was ready to smash the rabbit on the spot. Ultimately, Grim couldn't bear to see the cute rabbit killed and pulled out another offering: pre-processed meat. Why didn't we just use this from the beginning? Then Grim began the summoning ritual. After chanting spells, the magical circle on the ground lit up. Alice, however, thought it was just lighting effects. But then an even brighter light flashed, and a succubus actually appeared within the circle. Agent 6, the pervert, immediately started praising Grim, but Grim said that this was not the demon she intended to summon. The succubus claimed it could grant any of their wishes. Hearing this, Agent 6 asked if it could make him the king of a harem. Grim warned him that it's best not to make deals with demons. The wish seemed a trivial task for the succubus, but it required Agent 6's soul in exchange. Alice, however, thought it was just a holographic projection and started shaking the carpet, questioning where the true body of the succubus was hidden. "Oh, so you noticed that what's here is just a disguise." Despite this, the succubus urged them to fulfill its wishes quickly, to which Alice continued insisting it was a deception. This angered the succubus, who cast a spell to stop Alice's heart. But since Alice was a robot, she had no heart. With no other option, the succubus agreed to grant her wish. Alice then asked for the creation of 2 or 3 planets suitable for human habitation. Shocked by the size of the wish, the succubus eventually conceded and was tasked by Alice to unclog toilets, feeling insulted by the trivial request. It revealed its true form in a flash of anger. But Alice didn't care. She just wanted to know if it would unclog the toilets. Eventually, it was dismissively sent back by Alice, who felt disgusted. Thus, Alice defeated magic with the power of science. Back home, Agent 6 was still regretting not selling his soul on the spot. Meanwhile, Tillis was also worrying about the nation's water resources. Though the activation password for the rainmaking device was somewhat peculiar, it was the only immediate solution to their urgent problem. As long as she shouted out the password, rain would fall. However, the password had to be shouted by Tillis or the king in front of the public to be effective. But the password set by Agent 6 was indecent, making it difficult for the dignified Princess Tillis to utter it in public. Even the king was ashamed to shout it and had hidden away from state affairs. Tillis then planned to send Agent 6 and others as envoys to a neighboring country to import crystal stones. Because the crystal stones were expensive, Tillis had a cunning plan to lower the price. She arranged for Snow to seduce the lustful prince. Then, as the prince was about to make a move on Snow, Agent 6 would catch him red-handed. This would surely make negotiations more favorable. As a reward, she would give Agent 6 the intelligence information Alice wanted. Thus, Agent 6 and the others set off for the neighboring country, with Agent 6 directly bringing a SUV for the journey. Grimm was extremely excited for her first car ride. Just then, a group of monsters chased after them from behind. To shake them off, Alice floored the accelerator, but unexpectedly ended up throwing Grimm out of the car. This incident emphasized the importance of wearing seatbelts. Afterwards, they arrived in the neighboring country without further incidents. Later, Grimm changed into a formal dress and asked Agent 6 if he thought she was sexy. Instead, Agent 6 called her an old lady, which infuriated Grimm. She tried to cast a curse on him, but he dodged it. By the time the banquet started, Agent 6 was feeling a headache coming on because the older, single Grimm was directly seducing a handsome man. Rose, the foodie, was devouring a whole pig, nearly causing them to lose face as representatives of their country. However, more embarrassing than them was Snow. Having heard that the lascivious prince was balding and overweight, a visibly kidney-deficient prince appeared on the scene. Snow, fantasizing about becoming the queen, immediately started using her charm on him. She lavishly praised the prince, which truly amazed Agent 6. It seemed to him that as long as someone was wealthy, Snow could fall in love with anyone, be it an orc or a slime. But the prince, cursed to be disinterested in women, began discussing serious matters with Snow. Seeing the prince not falling for her charms, Snow was clearly getting desperate. Just when Agent 6 was speechless, he heard Grimm cursing a man. She decisively brought disaster down on this man, but this time, the spell backfired on herself. Not only was she rejected by the handsome man, but her curse also failed. She was devastated. Agent 6 was completely dumbfounded by both of them, so he and Alice went directly to investigate a relic. Here, they discovered something resembling a hibernation pod. At that moment, a young man interrupted them, and he turned out to be one of the Demon Lord's army officers, Russell. Just as Agent 6 was preparing to teach Russell a lesson, Heine arrived. The next second, Agent 6 attacked Heine and thus ended up tying her up. When Russell tried to retaliate, Agent 6 used Heine as a human shield. Then, Agent 6 used some tactics to force out the Demon Lord's army's intentions. Afterward, he stormed back to the banquet scene, furious. It turned out that the prince was not only selling crystal stones to the demon race, but had also formed an alliance with them. However, the prince argued that it wasn't an alliance, but merely a non-aggression treaty. Snow was unsettled upon hearing this because the demon race's territory was being invaded by the giant desert beast, the King of Sand, forcing them to invade other countries. So as long as the King of Sand existed, the demons couldn't reconcile with humans. At this moment, Heine also entered, stating that reconciliation was possible because the relics in this country contained a way to combat the King of Sand. So as long as they find a way to eliminate the King of Sand, there would be no need for further war. Moreover, the demon race had already purchased the unsold crystal stones, due to their country not importing anymore, making the demon race seem like their allies. Snow panicked upon hearing this and immediately started flattering the prince. Seeing this, Hyena also did not want to be outdone and started her own flattering mode. Watching the two vie for the prince's favor, Agent 6 was almost green with envy. Such events should be happening to him, the protagonist, right? However, the prince remained unmoved and calmly stated that using such things to influence foreign policy was not appropriate. This deviated significantly from what Snow had learned earlier. Hyena was also confused, but suddenly he had an epiphany. The prince merely explained that right before the banquet started, he had a feeling of being reborn. Even with the two women fawning over him, he remained unswayed. Seeing the prince surrounded by women yet appearing saintly, Agent 6 felt murderous. What made it worse was the prince even gave Agent 6 a mocking look. Who could tolerate that? While Snow was still arguing with Hein, Agent 6 approached the prince, offering to perform a show for him. Then, Agent 6 brought over a stool, stood behind the prince, and gave him a samurai haircut, increasing his evil points. Ultimately, this outrageous and disrespectful act by a foreign envoy was intolerable. The prince's country felt compelled to declare war on Tillis's country, demanding that Snow and Agent 6 be handed over for serious handling. Reading the declaration of war turned Tillis's face dark. However, wars require preparation, and they probably wouldn't attack immediately. So, resolving the nation's water shortage became the top priority. Snow immediately suggested that Tillis shout out the password, but Tillis was adamantly unwilling. Therefore, Tillis thought of another solution: to venture into the territory of the King of Sand and retrieve a fruit called the water fruit. So, the group embarked on another peculiar journey. A single small fruit could produce a cubic meter of water, and Agent 6 and the others collected an entire sack of them, enough to solve the nation's water shortage. Just as they were preparing to return, the ground suddenly shook. Realizing something was wrong, they were about to drive away when a gigantic creature emerged from the ground. It was the King of Sand, the ruler of this desert. The magical fruit turned out to be an organ used by it to store water. More bizarrely, the King of Sand was actually a giant groundhog. It quickly burrowed underground and chased after them. As it nearly caught up, they were forced to abandon their vehicle and flee on foot, and the hard-earned fruit turned into nothing more than a mirage. Although Agent 6 secretly kept one, it was insufficient to solve the problem. Without transportation, they had no choice but to walk out of the desert. Snow felt a sudden sense of despair after hearing that. Moreover, on the first day, Grim died from the heat. Agent 6's remaining points were used to exchange for a tent. With shelter and water solved, only food remained an issue. Fortunately, they encountered a green-skinned orc along the way, but Agent 6 couldn't stomach such food. Forced by Snow, he eventually ate it. However, a day later, food was still the biggest problem. Alice suggested Agent 6 do something to Snow to earn some evil points, but Snow was unwilling. Because she believes that she is the one suffering each time, she suggested that this time it should be Rose. Then Alice pointed to Grim's dead body, and the next second, evil points increased. Thus, they managed to survive another 4 days, but still no city appeared in sight. Due to the intense heat during the day, they could only travel at night. And because of this, they encountered no magical beasts on the road. Moreover, committing evil deeds on Grim could no longer earn points. By the 6th day, they were nearly starving mad. Rose was even considering eating her own tail out of hunger, and now, unlike before, they couldn't draw on evil points in advance. Grim's body was also nearly decomposed. The group only had the option to spray some preservatives on her to maintain the condition of the body. On the 7th day, Snow couldn't take it anymore and decided to sacrifice herself to let Agent 6 commit evil deeds. Even though Agent 6 did act, he still did not earn any evil points, indicating that Snow did not dislike it. As a result, Agent 6 was almost beaten to death by Snow before he could die of hunger. Recently, Even Rose had stopped intervening, instead drooling in anticipation, seemingly eager for them to fight to the death. However, Agent 6 misunderstood this longing look, thinking she was in a dying state and wanting to leave behind offspring due to animal instincts. But Rose was actually just thinking about eating him. That day, Snow also couldn't bear the hunger and fainted. Alice encouraged Agent 6 to commit evil deeds on her, but Agent 6 thought that doing so to a weak and disabled girl was crossing the line. Meanwhile, Rose was incredibly hungry, but Agent 6 thought she wanted to reproduce. As Rose moved closer, Agent 6 misunderstood even more and quickly carried Alice away to protect her. However, Agent 6 soon realized that Rose truly intended to eat him, prompting him to quickly resist. In such circumstances, his evil points increased significantly. With a large number of points accrued, Agent 6 was able to get another car and lead everyone out of the desert. Upon returning to the palace, Tillis did not scold Agent 6 for the mission's failure because an even more urgent issue had arisen. It turned out the ruins that were supposed to be a reward for Agent 6's exploration had been seized by 2 officers of the Demon Lord's army. Therefore, she requested their help to stop the Demon Lord's army from acquiring ancient weapons and to prevent them from killing the King of Sand. After investigating, Agent 6 found that the Demon Lord's army had not yet obtained the weapons. The ruins were heavily guarded, and Heine and Russell, the 2 officers, had been fighting hard for days, but had still not managed to clear them out. Seeing the exhausted officers, the righteous Snow immediately devised a battle plan. She planned to take advantage of the night to eliminate them. Remember, Snow was once a very righteous knight. But what kind of person was Agent 6? He completely disregarded such a low-level plan. He arranged for everyone to rest well tonight and follow the Demon Lord's army into the ruins the next day. He planned to let them deal with the traps and guards along the way. Once they were exhausted upon reaching the destination, he would strike while they were relaxed and happy, seizing their hard-won victory. Everyone was stunned to hear this, not expecting Agent 6 could be so despicable. So, early the next morning, they commenced their operation. Unexpectedly, the inside of the ruins was filled with a sense of technology. Alice speculated that there had been a disruption in the civilization of this planet. The greedy Snow also showed her true nature, wanting to take these gadgets back to sell for a good price. The guards here were all robots, and Snow once again started picking up trash. Agent 6 was really fed up with this. Suddenly, a noise came from ahead, and they immediately chased after it. It was Heine and Russell ahead who had triggered some trap. Heine was slightly injured, and Russell, looking worried, began casting healing magic to treat Heine's wounds. Although they were from the Demon Lord's army, at this moment, they appeared very human, emotional, and fleshed out. After all, they had come here only to obtain weapons to defeat the King of Sand, which was destroying their country. Compared to them, Agent 6 seemed like the real villain. He resorted to such despicable methods and even had Grimm curse the 2 officers struggling in battle to prevent them from using magic. However, Grimm had to shout loudly to cast the curse, and their teammates could barely stand to watch it. They managed to bribe Snow with bonuses and Rose with delicacies. Grimm felt that these 2 might be beyond saving. By then, the 2 officers had already defeated the guards and reached the endpoint of the ruins. Surprisingly, the legendary ancient weapon turned out to be a Gundam. Russell mentioned that after using it to defeat the King of Sand, they could also annihilate humanity. Heine couldn't understand why he harbored such hatred towards humans. She hated that man more than humans. Agent 6, eavesdropping from behind a door, heard this conversation. Just as Russell was about to act, Heine was just supposed to watch. The next second, he was attacked by Agent 6, who had stealthily sneaked in. Soon after, they surrounded Heine, and Agent 6 threatened her, saying if she retaliated, he would attack Russell. At that moment, Heine realized they had been followed all along, just waiting for the right moment to steal their victory. She cursed Agent 6 for his extreme deceitfulness, but Agent 6 was unfazed and even felt proud. At that moment, Alice discovered that Russell had just died from that kick. A grieving Heine held Russell's body and cried. Agent 6 panicked a bit, as Russell was just a kid, and asked Alice to try to save him. This act made Rose feel like she was becoming a supreme villain. After some resuscitation efforts, Russell regained consciousness. He angrily taught Russell how to operate under threat. Russell, playing along with Agent 6's instructions at first, then cunningly took control and dove directly into the Gundam. This made Agent 6 panic. He had to grab Heine to threaten Russell, but Heine was not rattled. She activated a gem on her chest with a flash of light and escaped back to headquarters first. When Heine returned to the base, she was met with everyone's stares because, just before she left, Agent 6 had torn off her underwear, increasing his evil points. Russell, controlling the Gundam, now had immense power. Yet, Agent 6, undeterred, taunted Russell with Heine's underwear. Outmatched, they had no choice but to flee. But as they reached the door, they found Russell had been waiting for them for a long time. They had to hide back inside the ruins. The ruins seemed too fragile to withstand his attack. At this point, Russell was determined to crush them all like bugs. The ruins were quickly being dismantled by the Gundam. Grimm suggested using her curse against Russell, but Agent 6 worried it wouldn't work on a robot and asked her to test it on Alice first. Alice, a believer in science, wanted to expose the curse as a sham and allowed Grimm to try. As expected, the curse failed again. As the ruins were about to collapse, Rose wanted to go out and negotiate, but Agent 6 couldn't bear to let a child undertake such a dangerous task. So Alice suggested that Agent 6 take responsibility for applying for equipment again to buy her some time. It turned out that she had previously disabled the debt feature because she was afraid Agent 6 would use points to buy adult magazines, but she allowed it now due to the emergency. Just then, as Russell, who was dismantling the ruins, grew tired, he decided to send his subordinates in to drive out Agent 6 and the others. But as soon as they entered, they were eliminated by Agent 6, who had rushed over. Agent 6 immediately kicked Russell and then started taunting him. Russell realized that Agent 6 was trying to buy time. Unfortunately for Agent 6, the mech was powered by the life force of its pilot, and since Russell, being a modified human, had an infinite life force, Agent 6's efforts were essentially futile. However, Agent 6 was used to endurance battles and could keep running for hours without any issues, continuously provoking Russell. With a flash grenade, Russell was blinded and could not open his eyes. Then, various weapons rained down from the sky, but they did no harm to Russell. As the fight continued, Russell realized something was off. He couldn't touch Agent 6 and sensed that Agent 6 was stalling. So, he turned and headed toward the ruins. But Agent 6 wouldn't just let him go. Armed with a laser chainsaw, he chased after Russell and slashed at his ankle, taunting him as nothing more than a small fry, which completely infuriated Russell. In a fit of anger, Russell slapped Agent 6 into a severe injury. While holding Agent 6, Russell continued to taunt him. Talkativeness is indeed a common flaw among villains. While Russell was still ranting, Alice had already completed her preparations. The noise was from a huge combat vehicle from their organization, the Destroyer. Amidst a cloud of smoke, Russell was defeated. Agent 6 thought about persuading him to surrender and use his abilities to solve the nation's water resource issues, but Russell refused to listen to Agent 6. So, Agent 6 had to ask for Tora Otoko's help. Being a fan of Lola's, Tora Otoko became extremely excited after sizing Russell up. Russell, feeling uneasy, nervously explained that he was a boy, to which Tora Otoko replied he preferred boys even more. Agent 6, outside the door, seemed to have known everything all along. Tora Otoko teased Russell, and soon Russell succumbed, begging Tora Otoko to spare him. Tora Otoko agreed to let him go as long as he wore women's clothing. Eventually, Russell put on the outfit, and Tora Otoko supervised his work every day. However, at that moment, a loud noise came from inside the palace. It was Agent 6 and Alice, who, upon hearing that Grimm would explode if she put on shoes, decided to test the truth. Grimm, wearing socks, began to heat up. In a panic, Agent 6 called for everyone to push sideways and take cover. The next second, the explosion caught Tillis's attention. She really had no way of handling this group of people.